What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Joe and I'm a non-binary person based in the UK. Today I'm going to be talking about coming out and the difference between coming out with your sexual orientation to coming out with your gender identity. So grab a cuppa and get comfy. A couple of definitions for you now just to start off. Sexual orientation means lesbian, bi, gay, etc. Whereas gender identity means transgender, non-binary, etc. Which one was harder for me to do? So going back to when I came out as a lesbian, when I identified as being female, we're going back about 20 years now. Ooh. So things were a little bit different back then anyway. I think coming out as a lesbian or gay or bisexual now is slightly different than 20 years ago. There is a lot more representation now in the media with queer, lesbian, bisexual people. For example, in movies, on Instagram, on TV shows. It's a lot more normalised now. I found it really hard just knowing that I was queer, a lesbian back then, because I didn't know that it was a thing that I could be. It wasn't really celebrated back then very much, so I was incredibly scared and nervous to tell anyone, especially my parents. During that time, I remember being incredibly depressed at school, just not feeling like everyone else felt when all the girls that I was talking to were talking about boys and crushes and all that sort of thing. I was kind of playing along, but I didn't feel the same at all. So going back to actually coming out to my parents, I couldn't tell my dad. I couldn't get the words out. I could speak to my mum about it. Even then, yeah, it was a struggle and I really struggled to actually say it. Okay, and I was like, I'm gay. And well, basically, she was like, yeah, I know. Since coming out in that scenario, I found it a little bit easier because I was then at college. I had a gay male friend that I could speak to, and it was just a little bit more accepted. Going to college, everyone's kind of like, yeah, I want to be different and I want to dye my hair and do all this crazy stuff. And there was more people coming out at college. So I didn't feel alone. I also started to play football and there were more queer people on the football team. So I felt good. I felt like, okay, this is actually a thing and there's other people that feel like this. It felt good. It was a relief to come out. Whereas coming out as a non-binary person, maybe a couple of years ago, having that realisation and then again telling my parents, I see that as the main thing, coming out, telling your parents, your caregivers, the main people in your life. So I did that maybe a year ago now. Things have changed. My whole approach to everything has changed. I feel like I know who I am as a person and I'm not as scared if people say, oh, that's not okay. Like when I was younger, I heavily relied on my parents and my close friends, and if they said it wasn't okay, it's terrifying having that thought. Whereas now I'm self-sufficient, I am self-employed, I don't need to rely on anyone else to be happy with myself and care for myself. So that is a relief in itself, and knowing that if I do tell anyone, if they left my life, I would kind of be okay with it. I knew it would be an interesting conversation to have with my parents, but I kind of knew that they weren't going to disown me like there was that small worry when I was younger. Even now, there's not that much representation in the media with celebrities, on TV, anywhere, of non-binary people. So that's the main thing that I struggle with now. Okay, I've come out, my parents have said, okay, we don't really understand. Fair play. I don't know if anyone really understands. You don't have to understand. It's about acceptance and letting me live my true authentic life. However, there's no guidelines, there's no one to look up to, no one to go, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And I guess that's kind of the good thing about it, that we are the blueprints, we are the representation, and it can come and look in many different forms, and that's okay. However, I do find myself getting lost quite a lot with what does feel good and what does feel right, and still fitting in. I think that's a constant thing as human beings, to want to fit in, to want to be part of a pack, to want to be accepted by society. And society created these gender constructs of what a man should be and what a woman should be. There's no construct of what a non-binary person should be. So we've got to kind of make it up and set examples for other people, which is cool, but it feels like a lot of pressure sometimes. And I just wish there was that representation when I was growing up and even coming out, and still now. So that's why I am putting out these videos and saying, we don't know what we're doing, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just working it out and seeing what feels good to me and hoping that people can accept me the way that I want to live my life, not the way that people tell me to live my life. I think people just understand and accept sexual orientation and different sexual orientations more than gender identities because it's more talked about, it's more understood. Fair enough. I feel like we could talk about gender identities more and the broad spectrum that it is, so it can be more accepted. It's quite hard having to constantly explain yourself and constantly come out, correcting people if they misgender me, or ignoring it and getting over it, or there's so many other things that it's like a constant thing that I have to deal with. Please let me know your coming out stories and how you found it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember to love yourself. You are beautiful. Be your true, authentic selves, and hopefully everyone will accept you for the beautiful person that you are. Love ya. Bye.